Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some very fun battles in the Ultra League Premier Cup Classic featuring FLAREON. Now during a recent community day, FLAREON did get access to Superpower, giving it a much needed bait and coverage move. Unfortunately, due to subpar stats, FLAREON does still struggle against a lot of the meta, but that does make it incredibly rewarding to win with. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at some of my favorite battles from trying out FLAREON in the Premier Cup Classic Edition. Hopping into the first match and picking up a rough lead Swampert into Lapras. Unfortunately, Lapras does very well against my entire team, so I am going to need to stay in here and try and land the Earthquake. The Earthquake does land, and that is very important damage to get off. Because we can tank a Surf here, that's fine. And now we're going to farm up to a Hydro Cannon, and we're going to save switch into the Shadow Snorlax. The Lapras farms up a ton of energy, and I'm worried about a potential Skull Bash. I do commit the shield, and it's the Skull Bash. That would have been big damage, so it's absolutely huge to get the shield there. And the nice thing is, we now have a pretty big energy lead over this Kanto Muck. Kanto Muck is very beefy, but the Shadow Licks and Body Slams are really going to start to add up. They go for the Dark Pulse. That does get us low. We're farming up a ton of energy, and we are getting pretty low ourselves. Going for another Body Slam doesn't quite KO. I was worried about getting Poison Jab down, so I will go for the Body Slam to secure the KO. That's fantastic. Lapras comes back in. We aggressively switch back in with the Swampert and go for the Resisted Hydro Cannon. This won't quite take it out, but we'll get it very low. In the back, they have Venusaur, and unfortunately, we can't get to the Earthquake. We just go for the Hydro Cannon. They let it through, and now our win condition is clear. We just need to farm down with FLAREON. FLAREON has a very high attack stat, so these Fire Spins are going to absolutely chunk the Venusaur. We are pretty glassy, but we can survive a Sludge Bomb that hurts quite a bit. We are going to let that go, and we are just going to keep farming. We get the Fire Spin through, so Venusaur will be dead after we shield this charge move, and it's just a very low health Lapras in the back. FLAREON able to Fire Spin down, and my opponent loses the match with both shields sitting unused. Hopping into the next match, Swampert into Gengar. This is a pretty good lead for us. Unfortunately, we do start a turn behind the Gengar. I do have to respect a potential Shadow Ball, so I do shield it up. It is just a Shadow Punch, and we are going to be firing back with the Hydro Cannon. That will force the shield. Gengar is very glassy. I believe this shouldn't be enough for a Shadow Ball, so I can safely tank a Shadow Punch, and I again will be able to force a shield if they want to preserve the Gengar. They're staying in what isn't a fabulous match for them, so they may potentially be weak in the back to Swampert as well. If I want to preserve the Swampert, I will have to commit the shield, but this should be a CMP tie, and the Gengar, now shieldless, will be going down, and we will have one switch advantage. And they have an Obstagoon in the back, so winning switch advantage is very nice, as we are going to be able to align it with our FLAREON, and FLAREON will be able to one-shot it with Superpower. So the Legacy move from Community Day coming in clutch on FLAREON. Night Slash comes through, and that actually does a large amount of damage. As I mentioned, FLAREON is pretty glassy. We get to the Superpower, that takes them out, and they have a Lowland Muck in the back, so it makes sense why they didn't switch out, because unfortunately they were ABA weak to Swampert. We are going to reset our debuff, bring in the Shadow Snorlax, and even when resisted, the Shadow Licks and the Body Slams really add up. The opponent is running Poison Jab, so they are going to be going for the Acid Spray. I will go for the Superpower, which does hit slightly harder, and from here, we are able to farm down, get the win, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match and picking up a pretty neutral lead, we do have Swampert into Obstagoon. I can win the Zero Shield, so I'm pretty happy with that. I can do it with either 3 Hydro Cannons or, more efficiently, 1 Hydro Cannon and 1 Earthquake. We are going to be going for the first Hydro Cannon, and if the opponent does decide to shield, I'm fine with conceding switch advantage if I can get shield advantage. Here, I do make a mistake. It's more efficient to farm up a bit extra and go for an Earthquake in that situation, as now I am going to have to burn a whole nother Hydro Cannon to take them out. We are going to be able to win switch advantage, which is nice, but I have no residual energy, which ends up being a problem because my opponent comes in with Charizard, they're able to farm down, and my backline really does not want to see a Charizard that has an energy advantage. And now I'm going to have to play a very tough baiting game with the Snorlax. We shield up and we correctly shield the Blast Burn. That is absolutely massive. We will be firing back with the Body Slam. Body Slam from Shadow Snorlax hurts, so I am not surprised to see that shield come up. We're farming up a bunch, and unfortunately they do get to another move. We shield it up. 2 for 2, we shield the nuke both times, that's massive. They have Roserade in the back, and we are going to bring in Flareon. We are just going to keep farming and force them to throw their nuke move. They throw the Leaf Storm, even when resisted, that takes us out, which is crazy. But now, since they've lowered their attack, we should be able to lick all the way down. We can tank that Weather Ball, no problem. And we're going to leave with close to 100 energy, which is absolutely massive, as we will be able to apply a ton of pressure onto the Charizard. We're able to get the shield. Now we're going for another Body Slam. This will be getting it quite low, and we're just able to get to the third. This will be taking out the Charizard, so even with a misplay at the beginning of the game, still able to get the job done. Alright, hopping into the next match. Swampert into Nidoqueen. Oh, I remember this match. I do not play this match particularly well. So, Nidoqueen lead is very nice. They do bring an Obstagoon, and instead of switching into the Flareon, I stay in because I want to try and force a shield. So we're staying in, throwing the second Hydro Cannon, we force the shield. Unfortunately, it is a CMP tie. I can let this go and then bring in the Flareon, and I just need to go for the superpower right away here. We're farming up, we get there, I don't throw it, so we have to eat one move, and then you're going to see here, I overfarm, I lost count, and now he gets to another move. So things started off great alignment-wise, but some pretty big misplays by me in this match. And now I am going to be going for the superpower to take them out. But my defense is lowered. Nidoqueen will come back in, and I don't have enough health. I'm not able to get to the flamethrower, so we're stuck throwing a debuffed, resisted, non-stab superpower. I am going to wait my clock just because our switch timers were desynced, and now I'll bring in the Swampert, and they have Gyarados in the back. This is actually not a bad matchup for the Shadow Snorlax, so hopefully I will be able to overcome the mistakes earlier in the match. Going for the first Body Slam, that's very nice. And here, I'm going to let the first one through just in case they happen to throw the Crunch and get the debuff. They throw the Crunch, they get the debuff, I'm at the Body Slam, I overfarm and they get to a move. Huge mistake, I'm forced to burn the shield. All I had to do was throw as soon as I got the Body Slam, and I would have been fine. Unfortunately, I overfarm, I get greedy. That is enough to take me out. They bring back in the Nidoqueen. I will throw the Body Slam, but the issue here, Nidoqueen has a lot of energy. They outpace me. They get to the Earth Power. So unfortunately, despite having very good alignment, I made a ton of mistakes in that match. And unfortunately, it cost me the win. Alright, hopping into the next match, and things are not looking any easier. Another Lapras lead. Lapras does very well against the whole team, so we are just going to farm up a bunch of energy and go for the Earthquake, hoping for the no shield. Earthquake comes through, we land it, that's very, very nice, and this Lapras has a ton of energy. I am going to call it just the Surf. That's big. And now we're going to bring in the Shadow Snorlax. Again, the Lapras farming up a ton of energy, and we're actually able to get off this Body Slam, which will pressure a shield because they want to get off the energy they farmed up. We are going to commit the shield. They just go for the Surf. They switch out into Charizard, and they have banked a Surf for later in the match, so I will have to keep an eye on that. The Shadow Snorlax vs Charizard matchup actually is not terrible for the Snorlax, especially when they overfarm. They're farming up a ton of energy. I will be able to force the shield. That is absolutely massive, getting shields down from my opponent. Blast Burn will take me out. That definitely hurts. And now we're going to bring in Flareon to get ahead on energy. I can't afford to shield this because Lapras has a Surf sitting in the back. Waiting for it. The Lapras comes in, and in comes the Surf. I am going to be shielding this up. And now we are just going to be farming up a bunch here. And we bank, so we leave with a Flamethrower or a Superpower, so we have the ability to hit whatever's in the back. We take it out with our Hydro Cannon, and it's a Venusaur. Oh, this is huge. Flareon has a very high attack stat, so with the flamethrower loaded in the back, we win. Even if they have a move, Flareon would win CMP, going for the flamethrower. Goodbye, Venusaur. And that is a good game. So able to redeem ourselves after that Nidoqueen lead where we played terribly. Hopping into the next match, this is a bit of a tough lead. Escav, they try and catch onto the Lapras. We hold our energy, and we are going to be able to connect with the Earthquake. That is very nice. And now, since we have debuffed them, we're able to bring in the Shadow Snorlax. Before they get off any energy, I'm going straight for the Superpower. Superpower will take them out, and they're not able to throw. Unfortunately, we are debuffed, and that Escavalier switched out with a lot of energy. But the good news is, since I've won switch advantage, I should be able to align it with the Flareon, which is everything I want. Going for the Superpower, hoping they'll shield. Unfortunately, they do not. But Flareon doing huge damage. The Escavalier panic switches out, and I'm going to be going for the Superpower on the Alolan Muck. We land it, and now it's comfortably in Hydro Cannon range, and we should be in a pretty good spot from this point forward. I shield up, it's the Acid Spray. Poison Jab Alolan Mucks, that'll happen, unfortunately. But now, even with my defense lowered, Poison Jabbing a ground type is a really tall ask. So we're still in a pretty good spot. We're able to get the shields. We're fine. They keep farming up. We're able to get to another Hydro Cannon. At that point, they kind of had to farm down. They're unable to do so. They bring back in the Escavalier, and the opponent resigns the match. Good games. All right. Hopping into the next match. And this is a huge problem spot for the team in Dragonite. As I mentioned, this is a team I ran more for fun, just to try out Flareon. There are a lot of weaknesses, like a Lapras lead, a Dragonite lead. So things are not looking great, but fortunately Dragonite is very glassy. I'm able to apply a ton of pressure with Swampert, and we're going to switch in our Snorlax. They farm up a ton of energy on the Dragonite before they switch into Escavalier, but since they gave us a pretty big energy lead, we should be able to force shields here. And even better, they let us get to a second Superpower. That is so nice. We're able to land it, and my opponent will farm down. This is a pretty tough spot to be in. I'm going to bring in the Swampert just to encourage them to throw their energy, and then hopefully we can snipe with the Flareon. Drill Run does not take me out, and they're forced to throw again. That is so big. Now we shouldn't have a Drill Run land on our Flareon. We can just farm down, and now it's Flareon versus the world. Dragonite throwing a move. They go for the Dragon Claw, and it's a Shadow Venusaur in the back. So we may have a chance here. Shadow Venusaur will hit very hard. We shield up, we correctly shield the Sludge Bomb, and we just need to farm down. We're able to successfully farm down. I don't want to debuff myself, so I'm going for the Flamethrower to get the shield, and they don't have a move. We're able to get to the Superpower. Even when resisted, that will take out the Dragonite, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, and it's another Lapras lead. What do you know? And unfortunately, this one is Shadow. The Shadow has me worried because they may be more likely to shield it, and I really need to get damage off on this. I go for the Earthquake, but my opponent switches into Escavalier. Very nice catch by the opponent. Earthquake lands. We're able to bring in the Flareon and vanquish it. This is tough because I really needed that energy to land onto the Shadow Lapras, but we are going to try and do as much damage as possible with Flareon. Superpower, they do shield up the Lapras, so that has me thinking that it's possible that they may have something else weak in the back to Flareon, so I'm going to try and do as much damage as I can and hopefully stall out the switch clock. I will commit the second shield. I am more than willing to do so. We are going to farm up, go for the Superpower, and again, this will get that last shield, or it's going to get them very low. Gets them very low, we throw one more, and we're able to catch onto the Shadow Snorlax. That is very big, and hopefully we'll be able to bait out whatever's in the back, and it's a Venusaur. So it is massive that we were able to save the Flareon. We'll be going for the Body Slam. This will be doing a nice chunk of damage, so the Venusaur does decide to commit the shield. The Venusaur, absolutely perfect over farm by my opponent. Very nicely done. Frenzy Plant will be taking me out, and I'm in a tough spot here, to be 100% honest. I bring in the FLAREON, we're able to get to the superpower. Superpower, even though it's resisted, will be doing a nice chunk of damage. We switch into the Swampert, and we're able to get to the Hydro Cannon. That is absolutely massive. Hydro Cannon takes out the Venusaur. Lapras comes back in, they get mud shot down, and out of the jaws of defeat, we are able to win. Hopping into the next match, Swampert into Empoleon, and there's a bunch of mutual lag to start it off. You love to see it. We'll be going straight for the Earthquake, hoping against hope for the no shield, and they call it! Oh, that is massive! But the downside is they have Dragonite, and we don't have a great response to Dragonite. So I am going to stay in with the Swampert, get some chip damage. We're going to bring in Snorlax, and they have Shadow Machamp. This is really not good for me. Body Slam does do a nice chunk of damage onto the Shadow Machamp, which is very nice. That is huge that my opponent decided not to shield there. They go for the Cross Chop. I am going to bring in the FLAREON. I was hoping I could snipe with the Fire Spin, but I'm just not able to do so. I shield up. FLAREON is again very glassy, so now I'm going to have to try and do a lot of fast move damage with resisted Fire Spins. Dragon Claw comes through. We're farming up. We're going to be going for the superpower. This should be getting the shield, and then I may be looking to make a swap into the Swampert. We're able to bank a move, which is very nice. We just have to get to a move on the Swampert, but they go for an Outrage. No! And we just can't get to the 2 superpowers. And hopping into the final match, amazing lead Swampert into Magnezone. They save switch into Gallade, and I'm going to get some chip damage with this Hydro Cannon before I counter swap into my Shadow Snorlax. Shadow Snorlax does do very well here, but I do have to watch out for a close combat. They bait me with the Leaf Blade, which is rough. They try and get to the close combat, and they're not able to do so. Those Shadow Licks absolutely coming in clutch. They bring back in the Magnezone. I'm going to farm up and go for a superpower, and this will be doing huge damage if unshielded. They don't shield, and I try and go for the Body Slam. Unfortunately, I lose CMP. I do want to preserve health, so I am actually going to commit the shield just so I can get this Body Slam off onto the Magnezone. They let it go, and they're saving 2 shields for the Venusaur in the back, and this is fantastic news for my FLAREON. We are going to be going for the Body Slam. They actually let it go. And from here, unfortunately, this is looking like game over for my opponent. Frenzy Plant comes through. I bring in the FLAREON. We're looking to catch. Unfortunately, not quite able to catch, which is unfortunate. They go for the Sludge Bomb. I throw one more. Now we're going to switch into Swampert. They're forced to throw onto the Swampert. It's a Frenzy Plant. That takes us out, but we're able to come back in with the FLAREON, take out the Venusaur, and that is a good game. So all in all, I had a ton of fun running the team. FLAREON is a Pokemon I really want to be good. Unfortunately, it's very attack weighted, and its stats definitely do hold it back. But man, if you can get it in the right situation and alignment, it is an absolute blast to run. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.